Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World's on Fire podcast. This is your unofficial opening announcer, letting you know that the podcast will begin in earnest with a countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And a gracious good evening to you and yours. This is your official announcer for the World's on Fire podcast, dead President John F. Kennedy. And I say to you that Donald J. Trump nearly destroyed democracy a few years ago on January 6th, and now that thieving motherfucker is trying to destroy a CBS News and 60 Minutes. He is a cocksucker of biblical proportions. Be that as it may, and may that as it be, here is your host for the World's on Fire. Give it up for John McIntyre. Woo-hoo! Thank you so much, dead President Kennedy. Ladies and gentlemen, how the hell are you? It's another Friday night and another World's on Fire podcast. Hello, Brian Morgan. Hello, Gigi Gerban. And good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, Mr. and Mrs. Pittsburgh, and all the ships at sea. This is the World's on Fire podcast. I am your resident nattering nabob of negativism, John McIntyre. Here now some headlines from the week that was. CBS News is going down the shitter while the shockingly incompetent Barry Weiss shits all over 60 Minutes. TV insiders say Weiss is fucking up the brand and could lose money. Now, could Weiss's head be on the chopping block? You'll never guess which infamous pardoned criminals are back out in the streets committing crimes. A judge ruled that the Kennedy Center should be called, wait for it, the Kennedy Center. And that is way too logical and simple for today's insane Trumpian climate. Is the $1.8 billion slush fund really dead? And even if it is, what about the sweetheart deal for Trump and his family of tax cheater pumpkin eaters? Trump insults a woman reporter because he's never seen her smile, because he's a sexist, lying, hypocritical, revolting, male chauvinist pig, not to put too fine a point on it. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of the World's on Fire podcast is brought to you by the late, great Patrick McBride. More on Mr. McBride and his recent passing later in the program. We are live at Baby Boomer Central, where Jack Kennedy clearly still has my back, along with John Paul George and Ringo, a couple of whom may soon meet Patrick McBride there in the great beyond, along with the founding father Benjamin Franklin. And as an ancient Baby Boomer warrior might just say, no matter what he's wearing, the warrior might just say at this moment in time, woohoo, 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 let's rock and roll. Hello, Susan Gotti. Hello, Pat Howe. How. Donald Trump came damn close to destroying democracy on January 6th. And that is why there's no fucking way we should have been returning this idiot to the office. But Americans are indeed idiots. And now Trump has successfully destroyed another incredibly valuable institution. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called 60 Minutes. And that fucking bastard, Donald Trump, has killed 60 Minutes. Yes, it is the oligarch Ellisons who own CBS, and along with Barry Weiss, who fired Scott Pelley and the other top-notch correspondents and tried to infuse right-wing talking points into 60 Minutes journalism. But they only did that to curry favor with Trump. Trump cannot kill everything, it would seem. He cannot kill Jimmy Kimmel, at least so far, but he did kill Colbert. He can't kill ABC News or NBC News or MS Now, but the Ellisons are trying to take over CNN, and Trump could indeed kill CNN. 60 Minutes is still the number one rated news program on television as it has been for decades. It's not the glory days with Mike Wallace, Morley Safer, and Dan Rather, but it is still top-notch, high-quality broadcast journalism, or it was until morons like Barry Weiss were installed to kill it. Many of us, including myself, who toiled away at broadcast news outlets in local departments all over the country, were originally inspired to get into the business by programs like 60 Minutes. And we remember that there used to be a certain degree of independence granted to the news department, whether at the local level or the network, because journalism, because truth, or at least the pursuit of truth, was once considered important in this country. Are you old enough to remember that? These fucking assholes wouldn't know a sound journalistic effort if it bit them in the face. Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite are spinning in their graves like the Tasmanian devil. I have heard people say that Scott Pelley deserved to be fired because he told his new boss at their first staff meeting that Barry Weiss was murdering 60 Minutes. He was disrespectful, they say, and anyone would have been fired for that kind of rank insubordination. But I'm defending Pelley because I think he had no choice. If he is the serious journalist we know that he is. And these fucking pricks are indeed intent upon destroying 60 Minutes. So fuck it. Time to speak your mind and get on with the rest of your life's
work, as Chuck Noll might say. I cannot believe the legendary Leslie Stahl says she still isn't going to resign. I read that about an hour ago. Whatever changes they make, they, the people who are running 60 Minutes and the network right now, will be stupid. Pelley already warned us. They already tried to get him to say shit that wasn't true, and they were letting the politicians pick the reporters who interviewed them. CBS News is now just as big a joke as the Trump administration. Donald Trump killed CBS News. Donald Trump killed 60 Minutes. Donald Trump is a malignant, narcissist, racist, rapist, treasonous, traitorous piece of shit. He is evil personified. He is the worst thing ever to happen to this country. We need Americans to get their fucking heads out of their asses. We need to wake up and smell the idiocy, the incompetence, and recognize the reality and the absurdity of everything that is happening to us. And the reality is that these filthy rich motherfuckers, these oligarchs, their only question in life is to get still richer. And they don't give a flying fuck about you. And they never will. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, to coin a phrase. Hunter Thompson, maybe you know this famous quote about the TV industry he is known to have given many decades ago. Quote, "The TV business is uglier than most things. It is normally perceived as some kind of cruel and shallow money trench through the heart of the journalism industry, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason," end of quotation. Good men and women are watching their journalistic careers die like dogs for no good reason because thieves and pimps and irresponsible assholes who happen to be oligarchs are now in charge. All we have left to combat this bullshit are a few good men and women who wear judicial robes and, among you and me, the regular, the hoi polloi, the power to vote. Onward to the midterms. We must win decisively. It is our only hope. We're at DEFCON 2, as far as I'm concerned, folks, rapidly hurtling toward DEFCON 1, and because Trump is nothing but a DEFCON man, and millions of Americans are stupid than I ever could have imagined, I still don't know what the fuck's going to happen to this country. Haven't watched network news in years, says Pat Howe. Mark Howe, preach. Jim Dunmeyer, what's up? David Roth is watching. This World's on Fire podcast is brought to you by Ruby's Winehouse, the best damn wine bar in Allegheny County. Check it out on the inner tubes, rubyswinehouse.net. By Venmo, a generous contribution was just made by Bill and Hank a little while ago in honor of Patrick Emmett McBride. More on that still to come. If you'd like to keep the cause going and contribute to the cause of the World's on Fire, at John-McIntyre-27. And by the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks, where August 8th is the next storytelling show featuring myself, Bethany Hallam, and I'm hoping I'm going to call him either tonight or tomorrow. I've got him as a maybe right now. Rick Seaback might just be there again on August 8th. Is there anything that can save the legitimate broadcast news business from the likes of the shockingly unqualified Barry Weiss? Well, there might be one hope, and that hope is greed. Greed motivated the destruction of 60 Minutes because the oligarchs wanted to please Trump so they could get a merger and make more money. But if you hire idiots who fuck with the brand so much, you could end up losing money, and that could be a problem for these greedy fucking oligarchs and their minions. If you think Barry Weiss is fucking up the CBS brand, not just the news division, but the entire network brand, you may just conclude that shit-canning her ass would be a great idea. Raw Story reports that CBS Entertainment chief Amy Reisenbach is not too fond of Weiss's bull in a china shop antics thus far. Reisenbach has privately told associates that Hollywood creatives are expressing alarm over Weiss's direction for the network, and she herself believes that the news chief is inflicting significant damage on the broader CBS brand. Reisenbach has reported that showrunners are approaching her in a panic mode, questioning why they should continue developing broadcast programs for a network whose leadership appears to be abandoning linear television. Even more damaging is, insiders have expressed concerns that Weiss is steering CBS toward what they perceive to be a more MAGA-friendly editorial direction, a characterization that has spooked creative talent. And as they say in the TV business, Bill McIntyre, David Roth, Mark Howe, stay tuned, if you dare. Question: why do we send people to jail? Answer: to punish them for crimes. But what if after we sent them to jail, we suddenly inexplicably told them all, you know what? Never mind. We no longer care about your crimes. You're free to go. Gee, you might think that after that, the criminals would just go ahead and commit more crimes because there seems to be no consequences. And that is exactly what is happening with a number of January 6th criminals pardoned by Trump. Lawfare Media.org, lawfaremedia.org reports that at least 97 of the more than 1,500 folks granted clemency by Trump have been arrested, charged with, or convicted of crimes since their participation in January 6th. The alleged crimes by the January 6th defendants run the gamut. Low-grade offenses like property damage, possession of drug paraphernalia, and trespassing, on to serious felonies like grand larceny, stalking, planning to assassinate law enforcement officials, and planning to assassinate prominent politicians, as well as defrauding government agencies. One January 6th pardonee was convicted in February of 2026 of child molestation and sentenced to life in prison. Another was convicted in 2025 of reckless homicide. We have an idiot president who sets criminals free because they were committing crimes on his behalf, as if that was so noble that anything else they do doesn't matter. And we have millions of idiots in the United States of America just idiotic enough to put this lame brain back in power. I cannot say, Vinnie Palermo, how alarmed I am by the lack of intelligence and the sheer stupidity of the people, folks, they walk among us. Never before has a public figure so blatantly disrespected for all the right reasons fought so hard for a legacy that he thinks will bring him respect. Donald Trump can build an arch and a ballroom and put his big fat orange face on the Justice Department building and walk around declaring that he should be on Mount Rushmore. But he will go down in history as a dangerously incompetent, malignant narcissist who believes he can essentially rewrite history and make himself look good despite his completely awful record as president. This is how delusional this fat orange Jesus piece of shit has become. Let's take yet another stupid vanity project, shall we? Putting his ugly tangerine puss on the $250 bill, since we're celebrating 250 years of America's existence. But the law says you can only put someone's mug on a dollar bill if they're no longer alive. Yet Trump pushes this bullshit, this self-aggrandizing nonsense again and again. By the way, the law also says there are specific denominations of dollar bills. They're supposed to be $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and so on. It does not include a $250 bill. The $250 bill currently does not exist. How do the American people feel about this sheer absurdity? Only 23% approve, 59% disapprove. But the pumpkin-faced pussy grabber has ceased to care what anyone else thinks. How much more stupidity can one president pack into a single final term? You're watching The World's on Fire. Damn it. Meantime, one of the all-time stupid moves in yet another attempt to create an admirable legacy, which will never exist in reality, was the renaming of the Kennedy Center as the Trump Kennedy Center. It makes me throw up a little bit in my mouth just to say that. Imagine the desperation vanity afoot here, trying to somehow steal a piece of the Kennedy family legacy by crudely sticking your name on the building. It is so blatantly idiotic, it's still hard to believe that even this idiot did it. Fortunately, a judge has ruled that it's bullshit since Congress named it, and only Congress can change the name. A federal judge has ordered Trump's name to be removed within 14 days. Will it happen? Well, they may just leave it up there while they appeal. Judge Christopher Cooper also struck down a 2-year closure of the Kennedy Center plan to begin this summer to make way for construction and renovations. Now, Trump issued a scathing rebuke of the decision, not surprisingly, in a lengthy post on Truth Social, saying the judge should be ashamed of himself. No other president has been treated so unfairly by the courts. This fat asshole is such a whiny baby. It's really embarrassing to be an American these days. How is it that every decision that doesn't go his way is deemed automatically unfair? It's unfair. It's not fair. The center did not specify if it would remove the Trump signage from the building or references on its website in the meantime, although I just saw a report on MSNBC indicating that apparently the removal of it is underway. It is not yet known how long the appeal process may delay some of the actions ordered by Judge Cooper. And now, with a word about Ruby'sWinehouse.net, here, ladies and gentlemen, is the legendary anchorman, back from the dead, Walter Cronkite.
This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite. Good evening, my fellow Americans. This is Walter Cronkite with the CBS Evening News. Sad news tonight. Legendary Pittsburgh Irishman Patrick Emmett McBride passed. He was 73 years old. He leaves behind him Dawn McBride, his lovely wife, couple of kids, a couple of grandchildren. I didn't really take the time to count them all, but they do exist. He was known for his incredible personality. He was known for being delusional enough to think he was Ben Franklin. Here's the thing. He was so good at being delusional Ben Franklin, the people all around the country hired him left and right to be Ben Franklin. Over the last year, he's been on at least half a dozen excursions all over the country, from California to Philadelphia, from sea to shining sea. Now he's gone. We presume by this point in time he's probably met the actual original Ben Franklin, and the two are kibitzing about hairstyles, wire rim glasses, and such and the like. But I can tell you this, one thing's for sure. If Patrick Emmett McBride was still with us today, he would be taking Don McBride to Coraopolis, to the best damn wine bar in Allegheny County, Ruby's Wine House. Both Don and Patrick love them some seasonal cocktails, and these people have seasonal cocktails to beat the band. You got the season, they got the cocktail for it at Ruby's Wine House. As a matter of fact, one of the owners, Gino, I happen to know, put the cock in cocktails. That's a little known fact. Also, Patrick and his lovely wife, Dawn, probably would enjoy some of the fantastic Italian food at Ruby's Wine House in Coraopolis. If you don't believe me, take a look for yourself on the internet, rubyswinehouse.net. That's rubyswinehouse.net. This is Walter Cronkite, CBS News. Now back to Johnny Mac. You know, I think I'm starting to look like Walter Cronkite the older I get. Thank you, Mr. Cronkite, for your thoughts on Ruby's Wine House and the late, great Patrick Emmett McBride. Still more on Patrick McBride later in the program. It looks like what might be the absolute stupidest, most outrageous, corrupt thing Trump has done may I say, be dead in the water. That would be the roughly nearly $1.8 billion slush fund to be doled out to the alleged victims of Joe Biden's so-called Justice Department weaponization, which, as you know, never really happened. Thanks, Vinny, for that compliment on Cronkite. Hi, Shelley Wolf. Yeah, he is taking the fun out of the 50th anniversary. Goddamn right he is. Even Republican senators and congressmen realize what a bad look this is, potentially doling out money to the January 6th hillbilly terrorists who beat the shit out of police officers who were already pardoned, because what's so bad about trying to violently overthrow the government? A couple of judges ruled against it, and that is against the fund. And with the GOP frightened about getting their asses handed to them in the midterms, the White House is actually apparently, or at least pretending, to back off. Remember the absurd way this fund was created. Trump sued himself because an IRS contractor released his tax returns during the first term, and then Trump settled with himself for $1.8 billion. You can't trust yourself to sue yourself and settle with yourself. The nature of a lawsuit, it just involves two opposing parties. It doesn't work the way Trump was trying to make it work. But what about the part which said that the Trumps could not be sued now and perhaps forever for potential IRS tax crimes? Unclear what the disposition of that is. Legal challenges are underway for that bullshit as well. The Trump administration is just so unbelievably ridiculous, and it almost defies description. Who elected these idiots? Oh, yeah. The American fucking people. Come on. Get a fucking half a brain. So let me ask you this, Mr. and Mrs. Pittsburgh and Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. If you throw a big party and most of the people you invite decline your invitation, and even the people who say they're coming end up changing their minds, you know, that could be pretty fucking embarrassing. Then again, in fairness, to be associated with Donald Trump, the grifter, conman, malignant, narcissist, racist, rapist, is pretty fucking embarrassing from the get-go in and of itself. We now pause for station identification. This is the World's on Fire television network. And we continue now with the World's on Fire. All right. Which performers pulled out so far of Trump's 250th celebration thing, which was thought to be nonpartisan, but was, of course, incredibly partisan because Trump is involved? Who pulled out so far? Unfortunately, it wasn't Fred Trump about 8 decades ago. Who pulled out? Martina McBride, Western Pennsylvania's own Brett Michaels, the Commodores, Morris Day and the Time, Young MC, and Millie fucking Vanilli have said thanks, but no thanks. But it gets worse. There is a new headline performer, and his name is Donald Trump. Quoting him, "I understand artists are getting the yips having to do with their performance."
And I'm thinking of bringing the man who some say is the greatest president in the history, the GOAT, Donald J. Trump, to take the place of these highly paid third-rate artists. I agree that third-rate artists should have nothing to do with a fourth-rate president, and that is being extremely complimentary. He's like 100 million. He is the last on the list. He is the worst president ever, the most dangerous president ever, the stupidest president ever, and we're idiots for putting him there. So Donald Trump says some really stupid shit on a regular basis. You know that. And one of the most idiotic habits he has is to insult female reporters. He is, of course, a sexist asshole, so it comes quite naturally to him. And this time, Caitlin Collins of CNN was the victim. Trump said at a recent press availability in the White House, CNN's a very corrupt organization with a corrupt reporter standing right there. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman, never smiles. I never see a smile on her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes. She has hatreds because we have borders, because we have a strong military, because we cut our taxes, because we do things that everybody wanted. Imagine the grade school level of sexist insult. A woman never smiles. Jesus fucking Christ, if somebody could just bury this orange artifact from hell and put him out of our misery, that would be swell. Anyway, the whole thing pissed off Anderson Cooper, who said this: that's the President of the United States, a nearly 80-year-old man who has no problem commenting on a woman's physical appearance and telling her she needs to smile. That doesn't happen to men, says Cooper. Nobody's ever said that to me in an office setting. She was just there like every other journalist doing her job, standing around with a bunch of non-smiling men, by the way, all behind her. I don't know if you saw that. She just gets singled out, points out Mr. Cooper. In fairness, the asshole isn't just sexist, he's also racist, which is why he also often goes after black reporters. Oh, and he has a field day with black women reporters. This is the President of the United States. Remember when we used to be able to respect at least the office of the President of the United States, and maybe on some of the time, even the President of the United States? Not anymore. As you know, many people are now convinced that the alleged assassination attempt in Butler, PA, of Trump was fake. I'm not telling you it was, I'm not telling you it wasn't, but a lot of people now think it was fake. Because his earlobe was shattered but magically grew back within days. You want to know who thinks it was a real assassination attempt? Some of the people who were wounded in the crossfire, they blame the Secret Service for incompetence, and they are suing. But I'm bored with that story, so I'm not even going to finish it. Just know that some of the people in Butler who were wounded are suing. And they're saying the Secret Service is at fault. William Hamilton is watching. All right, Hamilton. Another important position in the government that needs to be filled, and another ridiculously unqualified and potentially dangerous nominee to fill it in the hopelessly incompetent Trump administration. Here we fucking go again. Bill Pulte runs the Federal Housing Finance Agency. He has used inside information to try to bring charges of mortgage fraud against Trump's perceived enemies. None of it worked because the charges were bullshit. But it shows that Pulte is a classic Trump cocksucker who will do his bidding, ethics and the law be damned. Now, he's been nominated to replace Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. Does he have a single legitimate qualification? Fuck no. But critics are already suggesting that he may be willing to use state secrets to attack Trump enemies. At DNI, Pulte would be placed at the top of the U.S.'s sprawling intelligence community and have access to the country's most sensitive national secrets. CNBC reporting that the lack of experience and Pulte's penchant for using information from the housing agencies to gin up bullshit prosecutions has alarmed intelligence analysts and federal lawmakers alike, who warn that Pulte could weaponize the office against the president's domestic political rivals and further erode trust in U.S. intelligence. What are those other journalists going to stand up and defend the female reporters? Just saying, I know, Pat Howe, but it's a difficult position because you're not supposed to start an argument with the president, theoretically. That's not your job. All right. How did Donald Trump first meet Melania? Was he introduced by then-friend and current administration appointee Paolo Zampalli? That's what Zampalli says. But bullshit says the former Zampalli romantic partner, former Brazilian model Amanda Ungaro, who previously posted that she knows the truth about who introduced them. Remember when Melania staged that weird press conference pretending to hardly know Jeffrey Epstein? I do not know the Jeffrey Epstein. I am not a Jeffrey Epstein victim. I barely knew him, and I barely knew the Ghislaine too. Well, that's funny because according to Ungaro, Melania was one of Epstein's escorts. And that is how she was introduced to her husband. Ungaro posted this on X, referring to Zampali. About Zampali, she said, let's tell the public you were never the one introducing Melania to Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein. She was an escort of Jeffrey Epstein, and that's how she met Donald Trump. Ungaro said in a recording posted around 11 p.m. Sunday on X. And I know because I was with you, she said, for 20 years, and you always told me it was not you, it was Jeffrey Epstein. Clearly, Melania was lying when she recently claimed I am not Epstein's victim. All I'm saying is clearly she was an escort, clearly she was a friend of Epstein's, and clearly that's how she met Trump. It's just one more fucking lie. Aaron Parnes said today he's not going to get appointed. He's going to fire people in the intelligence community. Okay. Thank you, Joe Burgundy. Paul Haley, Melania's loves mushrooms. All right, I don't really care about this story that much. Get your questions for Ask John Anything. Bill Gates, you know Bill Gates, Microsoft guy. He's a nerd, but he's one rich fucking nerd, and that means Bill Gates has infinitely more access to the Poontang parade than your average nerd. He is divorced now, but during his marriage, how many affairs would you guess Mr. Nerdy McNerdstein had? Well, apparently it's about 20. Gates was accused of having more than 20 extramarital affairs in the fallout from his divorce with ex-wife Melinda. The billionaire told the Gates Foundation staffers during what is depicted as a sullen town meeting earlier this year. While Gates, 70, owned up to having 2 affairs with Russian women referenced in the Epstein files during the February gathering, the Microsoft co-founder left employees stunned when he revealed the allegations related to more than 20 affairs that came up during the 2021 divorce proceedings, sources told the Wall Street Journal. Not even going to finish that one either. The nerdball is still rich as fuck. I don't really care if he had any affairs. Trump is afraid of Caitlin Collins. I agree, John Dean Krebs. All right. Get your questions ready for Ask John Anything. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Driftwood Oven Pizza. Take a look at this sausage, mushroom, onion, and pepperoni. That's sausage, mushroom, onion, and pepperoni pizza from Kevin the Pizza Chef. Kevin the Pizza Chef at Driftwood Oven. Driftwood Oven. It's not just good. It's fucking good. It's not just good. It's fucking good. It's not just good. It's fucking good.
I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh, ha 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 ha, or to sing a song. It seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time it's time to load my bong, bong, bong.
Ladies and gentlemen, in all seriousness, Patrick Emmett McBride, a good friend of this broadcast and a good friend of yours truly, died this week at age 73, peacefully surrounded by friends. A number of us were able to get over and see Patrick, including myself, before he passed. Dawn McBride, his lovely wife, is coping as best she can. He said that she has already sent her a message indicating that he's in a good place and that he's safe and that he's okay. I believe it was through a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song. I'm wondering, Dawn, maybe you're not watching tonight, but if and when you see this or if and when I talk to you, I wonder if the song, the Crosby, Stills, Nash, and, or maybe just Crosby, Stills, Nash song, maybe Young wasn't there, that he sent was Our House. Because I know as much as you don't like McKeesport, where you guys have lived for years, you love the house. And I was at the house last week, and it is a lovely, it's a way cool home full of Dawn's incredible art. She's an artist as well as a lifelong healthcare professional. By the way, Bill and Hank, the incredible benefactors of this broadcast, Bill and Hank sent a generous Venmo contribution in honor of the life and death of Patrick Emmett McBride. So thank you very much, Bill and Hank, for helping this broadcast to continue to stand up. And thank you very much for honoring your friend, too, Patrick Emmett McBride. That's Bill and Hank, ladies and gentlemen. Without Bill and Hank, no Jewish space laser. Without Bill and Hank, no sound effects machine. Without Bill and Hank, no kazoo. Gigi, sorry to hear about Pat, you bet. David Roth, what does Melania think of the large erecting on the South Lawn? Well, I tell you this, after many years of only seeing tiny little things, and by tiny little things I mean Donald's penis, it is nice to have some giant things on the lawn to stare at. I'm tired of the tiny little, and I want the giant. But it is ridiculous because the Donald is just trying to, he has the penis envy because he barely has a penis. So he likes anything that is big that reminds him of penis. But it still won't grow his penis 1 millimeter more, so it is really a waste of time and the taxpayers' money, and that is what I have to say about that.
Also, remember, brought to you by Ruby's Wine House, the best damn wine bar in Allegheny County. By Venmo, join Bill and Hank in the hit parade. Venmo me some cash at John-McIntyre-27. By the way, the McBrides, also incredibly generous Venmo folks over the years as well, for the record. Thank you for that, Don and Patrick, over the years, and Bill and Hank, and everybody out there. All of you have been generous, and you're generous just to watch this shit, because I'm just an idiot yelling at my iPhone in my living room. So I appreciate your attendance. James Mark, the First Lady met the President when she turned the lights on in the brothel. Do I have air conditioning? What temp do you set it at? I do have air conditioning. Oddly enough, Shelley Wolf, also thanks to Bill and Hank, I have air conditioning. But it's a window unit, so I don't, oh, that's right, I do set it. I set it at about 78. I don't need it, I just need the humidity to be reduced. I don't need it to be like 69 degrees. Thanks, Paul Haley. Good show, everybody. I sent Greg Brown an artificially created meme featuring the 92 presidential candidate, Ross Perot, discussing the Pirates bullpen. Essentially said, "That giant sucking sound you hear is the Pirates bullpen fucking it up again." But by the way, congratulations to Jarrett Jones and Carmen Majinski for not fucking it up last night. So that's one in a row. Mitch Keller's on the mound tonight against Atlanta, in Atlanta, in a very tough Atlanta team. You stay groovy too, Dre Williams. Yes, we're definitely going to go over. If you want to find out more about Patrick, go over to Dawn McBride's Facebook page, and you can read what she has written thus far. Stay groovy, baby, yeah. All right. As I say, we're hoping Rick Seaback will be on the August 8th storytelling show. We've already got Bethany and a player to be named later. Not even sure what the theme is yet. I may tell the story of how I got hit by a car when I was either 10 or 11 years old, and the reason why I got hit by the car, and the reason I was running away from somebody and didn't see the car, is and that's when the fun begins. Gigi Gerben, you have a good weekend. Nixon 4, you think so, David Roth? They seem to have the momentum. I mean, I know it's only one game, but they do seem inevitable. They do seem like a team of destiny. Any other questions for us, John? Anything? I am very uncomfortable with death. I'm sad about the passing of Patrick. But I'm trying to immerse myself in death now so I can handle it better if and when I'm still alive when other people I know die. So I've begun watching endless reruns of 6 Feet Under on HBO. I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if I'll become any more comfortable with it, but I'll give it the old college try. Pat Howell, bye-bye. Shelley, stay safe and sane, you too. The Cubs game is on tonight, and it's not just on, I'm sorry, the Pirates game. I grew up with the Cubs. I grew up with wild dogs in the woods. It's on AT&T Sportsnet. You don't have to have Apple TV. I don't know why we're blessed with this situation tonight, because other Fridays it's been streaming. George Bobbin, you have a great weekend too. Just the head of George Bobbin, go bobbing along. Once again, I extend that query. Let's go Bucks, Mark. All right. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll be back, Susan Gotti. I was hit by a diaper service truck when I was 4. No shit. You should come to the storytelling show and you can share that story with us, Susan. Rest in peace, handyman Negro. Yes, Joe Negri, almost 100 years old, famous member of the cast of Mr. Rogers, famous, very talented jazz guitarist. I saw him once. I did not know him, but I did see him perform once, and he was very good. Also passed this week, and he was damn near 100 years old, just a few weeks short of his 100th birthday. Favorite all-time quarterback?
Mine, he's not the best, but my favorite all-time quarterback was Jim McMahon. Because the first team that I was a fan of that ever won a championship was the '85 Bears. And he was so cool and unorthodox and wore sunglasses and was funny. And when I was an anchorman in Orlando in the '80s, I had an executive producer who didn't necessarily mean this as a compliment, because McMahon referred to himself as the punky QB. And he said, John, if Jim McMahon were an anchorman, he'd be you. And I thought, that's cool. I'm the punky anchorman? This is the coolest. That's the best attempted insult that turned into something flattering that I've ever heard in my life. Watch The Good Place. It will make the afterlife much more interesting to think about. Okay, Dre Williams. Shit, yes, says Susan Gotti. All right. I will post this program all over millions of sites that are on Facebook. I will do it again tomorrow morning, as I often do. I will also likely repost this tomorrow morning on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel. If you want to see past episodes of The World's on Fire, youtube.com/John Oliver McIntyre. That's youtube.com/John Oliver McIntyre. All right. The Indiana Bears. I heard that, James, today. I hope that turns out not to be true. Bear down, Chicago Bears. I am a Steelers fan, by the way, and have been for many years, but that Chicago Bears song rings in my head. Of course, there's the Steelers. Here we go. Sam Cox, I met the handyman, Negri, at the restroom at the Paul Shannon show at WTAE. Well, I once took a piss next to Bill Cowher at an AFC Championship game press conference. So there, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Joe Namath would like Night Talk. Oh, I would love to have interviewed Joe Namath. Whatever. Everybody knows the story. Made the guarantee, actually won the guarantee, made the Super Bowl a real thing instead of just the NFL kicking the AFL's ass. Followed up by the pantyhose commercial and just being a major league character. Followed up by the embarrassing drunken interview he did many years later with a live reporter on television. But hey, nobody's perfect. All right. William Hamilton is watching. That comes up. You're coming up as many times as Matt Berry is watching William Hamilton. All right. We will be back next week, Lord willing. The Quick Don't Rise. Same bat time, same bat channel. Do us a favor. Do yourself a favor. Be there. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, pizza. I already showed the pizza, David Roth. Did you just a couple of minutes ago? Kevin the Pizza Chef made this at Driftwood Oven Pizza in Lawrenceville. It's not just good, it's fucking good. Sausage, onion, mushroom, and pepperoni. I just showed that a few minutes ago. Where the hell were you? He might have tried to kiss you, John. Who, Bill Cowher? I don't think so. All right. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Be there. Aloha.